Welcome to this important matchup at Raw Chalk Park in Lawrence, Kansas. Sporting Kansas City 2 welcoming in Minnesota United FC2 for a huge duel on match day 23 in MLS Next Pro. Hello, family. I'm James Tadnott. Thank you so much for joining us. And when we think about this matchup, let's look at the Western Conference standings right now. For Sporting Kansas City, currently sitting in 4th in the West, Minnesota sitting at 6th. And points-wise, Sporting Kansas City has a chance to hire themselves here at this rate because of where they sit in the table. And for Minnesota United, they're trying to put themselves in a better position as they stay on the right side of the playoff line. And thinking about Sporting Kansas City 2 at home recently, they've been scorching hot. 19 goals in their last 4 home matches compared to just 3 given up, and they have a 6-match unbeaten streak at home. For Minnesota, they have been a team that has continued to work their way higher and higher in the Western Conference table. And in talking with their assistant coach, Jeremy Hall, Coach Hall sharing with me that this team just plays for each other. They are so consistent, and they have done so many different things with each other this year. They have not only carpooled together, a lot of these players live together for Minnesota. And so this is a team that is going to continue to play for each other, fight for each other. And that's what we saw in their last match when they took on St. Louis, and they ended up in a 2-2 draw with St. Louis City 2. And for Sporting Kansas City, talking with Coach Fehlhaber, he had shared with me this week that this team is locked in, and that's why they're playing so well here at home. Here's the starting lineup. Elenis Vargas will man that number 9 spot once again with Pau Vidal, the leading goal scorer for Sporting Kansas City, out for the 2nd match in a row with a lower leg injury. So Vargas, who had the hat trick, was a player of match day 22 in their last match versus Portland. He is the player to watch for Sporting Kansas City. And looking forward to Minnesota, they have a 3-headed attack across the top for the Loons. And thinking about Minnesota, whether it's Diogo Pacheco as well as Emmanuel Iwe and Cameron Lacey, all 3 can get you a goal early on in a match. And Pacheco and Lacey are tied for the team lead. Both have 8 goals on the season, and Iwe not far behind with 5 himself. And so this side has a fast and furious at the front with those 3 men at the top of the attack, and that's what we're going to watch out for here in this match for Minnesota United FC. This will be the final home match of the season at Raw Chalk Park, and we are underway here at Raw Chalk. Minnesota on the road taking on Sporting Kansas City.
How you doing? Staying cool at home. Doing my best.
For Minnesota, mentioned that they sit 6th in the West right now, but the top 7 teams make the playoffs, and they are only a couple of points ahead of teams like St. Louis, who are knocking on the door for that final playoff spot. And Minnesota has a very tough road for the rest of the season. 4 of their final 5 matches are against the top 4 teams in the West. And so with work to do, they'll take on SKC twice over the last couple of matches. And so what they are dubbing a 6-pointer, a chance to potentially earn 3 points and inhibit 3 points from Sporting Kansas City. That's why this match has so much importance for Minnesota. All the way back. Fred Emmings, who is in net for Minnesota, has played at a high level. 7 wins on the season, 3 clean sheets to his credit. That's out for a Minnesota throw. Devin Paddleford to do the honors. Early keys for Minnesota. They want to defend in a compact fashion. They want to keep Sporting Kansas City from attacking the middle of the field, and they want to keep their lines tight. And offensively, they want to lean on that front three that was mentioned, whether it's Lacey, Pacheco, or Eway. Ball out to Emmanuel Eway right now. Has eyes for a cross. Ball comes to the top of the 6, headed down. First time hit is cleared away. Pacheco back on it. Already has 4 assists on the year. This cross is sent past the inline, and it's out for a corner for Minnesota. An early key for Sporting Kansas City is ensuring that they do not give up an early goal. Coach Feldhaber did not want to concede early on. Pacheco plays the short corner. Ball back out to him. Flipped into the box. Steered towards goal, but high and over for a goal kick. The reason Coach Feldhaber did not want to concede, not just because he didn't want his team to go down a goal, but because Minnesota has a playing style that can beat you when they find an early goal, because they can then rely on their countering ability. Now coming the other way is Felipe Hernandez. This is Ethan Bryant. Cuts back, Bryant. Booms a shot, but it's boosted out of play. And the first corner of the day upcoming for Kansas City. Offensively, the key is going to be transition for Sporting Kansas City. They have the ability to beat you on the counterattack with players like Ethan Bryant, and have to watch for the speedster, Elenis Vargas. This is Bryant to take the corner. Outswinging ball, headed high into the air initially. Tap back into the mixer, still free. And then in the end, it's out past the end line. And the goal kick upcoming for Minnesota. Taken quickly by the Loons. We know that it's not going to be an easy road for them. Paddleford pumps it high and over. Space opening up for Kahn, but he was offside. All given up. Rodas locates Pacheco. Extra ball now out wide to Eway. Hasman coming into the box. Slows his pace. Cuts it back. And the hit by Malik Jesse Khan was deflected. Cam Duke on the ball. And Kansas City playing out of the back calmly. And Duke stays on it. And a huge collision. He's upended. And that is a yellow card. So Britton Fisher will receive the early caution and has to be happy that it wasn't worse. We mentioned we're in Lawrence, Kansas, but you would think we were in Kansas City, Missouri after that hit. And Duke upended. He is up and ready to continue. And no malice, of course, by Fisher. Both were going for the ball. But as Duke stabbed down, his momentum flipped him up into the air. So Sporting Kansas City will come the other way. This is Clark. Right there in those pockets in the middle of the field is where Minnesota does not want Kansas City to pick the ball up. Would much rather than pick it up on the wide areas. So as this match goes on, watch to see where Kansas City finds themselves trying to attack. This ball's out wide, wonderfully done, cut back. Cohen was the first man there as Vargas had already beat the ball into the box. On the counter press, Kansas City stays with it. This is Cohen, cannot thread the needle. Had eyes for Danny Flores. Rosa. Rindov. Rosa stays in play. Flores finds Ethan Bryant, who looks to change the point of the attack. This is Nati Clark. Duke. Back to Bryant. And now a chance. Ball flung over. Rosa tracks it down. Sends it into the box. It's over, and Pacheco will tap it out. Kansas City will start again. Minnesota very comfortable defending for long periods of time because of their ability to counter. Rosa can't shift past his defender. Now the ball lost. And a transition opportunity for Minnesota. This is Pacheco. Rather than attack on the counter, Minnesota will build. Mentioned Diogo Pacheco. He's only grown in his role this season. Pacheco, who played on this team last year, actually had the game-winning goal when these teams met last season in their second matchup. But his leadership skills enhanced by the fact that he leads by example. Tied for the team lead in goals. Second on the team in assists. Off the ricochet. Racing forward is Lacey. He cannot keep it in play, and it's out for a goal kick. 10th minute of action between Sporting Kansas City and Minnesota United. Two teams in the Western Conference on the right side of the playoff line right now with 5 matches to play. And both sides thinking about potentially hosting a home playoff match. Minnesota knowing that they still have work to do to ensure their spot in the playoffs. Also have their eyes on having a match at the National Sports Center. This is Diogo Pacheco off the turnover. Has a whack, and it's wide. So Pulskamp quickly puts it back into play. Nati Clark taps it towards Ethan Bryant. Ball's over the top, but out of play. Bryant tried to pick out Josh Cohen. Around this time of year, the question is always, how do you share where you sit in the standings with your team if you're a coach? And I asked both Coach Fahaber and assistant coach Jeremy Hall for Sporting Kansas City and Minnesota respectively. And Coach Hall for Minnesota shared that Coach Knowles, the head man, has an idea of letting the team know where they sit, what's necessary, but not harping on it. So there's a foul and plus territory for Sporting Kansas City to have a free kick. Taking his time to get up is Danny Flores. He will walk this off. For SKC, Coach Fehlhaber has a less is more attitude. Let the team know what they need to know in regards to the game plan. Don't have to get into the weeds of the standings. Just let them go out and execute. Bryant to take this free kick for the home side. Pumps it into the box. Nodded out. Another goal kick upcoming for Minnesota. Pacheco chests it down. Minnesota has a chance to attack. Lacey. Fisher. Rodas. Devin Paddleford, one of the first team players that drops down every now and then to play with the Loons. Gabo back to Fisher.
Ladies and gentlemen, due to the high temperature of today's match, we will now be taking a brief cooling break.
So there's going to be a hydration break here in the 15th minute due to the heat here in Lawrence, Kansas, and gives us a chance to really discuss where both of these sides sit right now in the Western Conference and what both really have to do if they want to find themselves cemented in the playoffs and potentially hosting a home playoff match. In talking with Coach Phil Haber, he understands, numerically speaking, about how many points he feels the team is going to need. Doesn't necessarily share those numbers with the team because, as mentioned, he has a less is more attitude. So wants them to know that here's where we sit against this team. We need to attack them in these ways, and that mentality has helped them in the fact that they are 4-0 in their last 4 matches here at home, and they've been unbeaten in their last 6 to the tune of 19 goals scored and just 3 given up. And they're just some massive numbers that they put up over the course of this stretch. And so for Sporting Kansas City, they have a high understanding of what's necessary and what they want to do moving forward. This portion of the match is brought to you by Central Bank, official jersey front partner of Sporting Kansas City 2 and community banking partner of Sporting Kansas City. Just had our hydration break. We're in the 16th minute between SKC and Minnesota. Nazi Clark prepares to throw this ball in deep in his defensive half. Rodas taps it back out. Clark once again for the throw. For Minnesota, they have some tough competition that they have to play against if they even want to ensure that they'll make the playoffs. They'll take on this SKC side later on in the year, in the month of August, but they have to play Colorado, who has already cemented a spot in the West, as well as Austin and Tacoma. Those are the second and third teams in the West, respectively. Ball's kept in. Attempting to play it central was Khan. He loses the ball to Nassim Mekadesh. Makes a slight turn, and now Ethan Bryant has a chance to press forward, push from behind, and that's another free kick. Second caution for Minnesota. This one goes to Cedric Gabo. So in the first 20 minutes of action, the Loons have 2 men on a yellow. For Britton Fisher, he is a defender, so a little bit more warning and weariness for him. But for Cedric Gabo, who plays in the middle of the park, has 2 assists on the season, can be a difference maker offensively, so he will have to watch himself as well. Danny Flores plays pass for a moment and has the ball now. Tracking back is Felipe Hernandez. Nati Clark. For those just joining us, SKC without Palvidal. He experienced an injury and he will not be playing in this match. So Elenis Vargas, who played extremely well in the last match, once again at the striking role. Right now Minnesota trying to counter. This is Cameron Lacey. But an excellent slide tackle by Nassim Mekadesh to stop the attack of Minnesota. Again, one of those transition moments that the coaching staff for Kansas City was so keen about. You see here Cameron Lacey tied for the team lead in goals, so you know he has a nose for the attack. But Mekadesh snuffing things out in the end. Gabo. Fisher. This is Richardson. Just well done defensively in that spell for Kansas City. Really nowhere for Minnesota to attack. And that is by design, especially when you have players like Elenis Vargas at the top who make things difficult and funneling things to one side or the other. Direct ball is just cleared away by Fred Emmings. Josh Cohen was looming. Emmings, who had made his way out of the box, had to deal with it. Duke has a chance to turn, taps it all the way out to Lucas Rosa. Rosa all the way across. Clark tracks it down. Mekadesh. This is Felipe Hernandez. Ethan Bryant in the teeth of the defense now. Cohen, Bryant, slots it right to Nazi Clark, back to the middle. Vargas was the intended target, but it was tapped away defensively by Minnesota. This is Duke outside the box. Once again, Clark. Oh, what a cutback. Cohen! Saved by Fred Emmings. Now the ball given right back to Nazi Clark. Flores taps it forward, and this shot is wide. Josh Cohen had slithered free. His shot just out of play. Once Kansas City gets into the teeth of the defense, that's when problems arise. And you see Danny Flores slippery right outside the 18. And dropped it right in between two defenders for Cohen. And Josh Cohen doesn't miss that shot very often. Kansas City grabbing the momentum here in the 24th minute. How does Minnesota respond? Hernandez for Kansas City. Plays it forward to Vargas. And he was offside. Lenis Vargas, just 19 years of age, his coach saying he has so much untapped potential. And that's high praise for a player that just notched a hat trick in his last match. I asked Coach Faulhaber about him earlier in the year, and he just mentioned that he has all the ability, his speed, excellent, as this is a wonderful shot, which required an even better save from John Pulskamp. Zidane Bello, a youngster for Minnesota, wanted in on the conversation, and he was heard. Pulskamp calmed down all the talk of a long shot. Now Malik Jesse Khan sends this in off the turf. And ends up being cleared away. Finishing the point on Vargas. His untapped potential that his coach mentioned is because he has the pace to get past anybody in the league. His one-on-one ability, another skill trait that he possesses. And so as he continues to learn the game, knowing when to make runs, when to attack the space, the sky is the limit for Vargas. This ball's kept in by Cam Duke. Back to Mekadesh. And we have a stoppage by the referee, Jose Lara. So there will be a free kick for for Minnesota. This portion of the match is brought to you by Children's Mercy Hospital of Kansas City, official healthcare provider of Sporting KC. 27th minute of action. The best chance of the match. Josh Cohen slipping past the defense just a few moments ago. His shot ended up wide. But Kansas City possessing the momentum right now here at home. They've had some gaudy numbers as of late. Going back to their 6-1 victory against Portland in their last match. This is Lucas Rosa. Felipe Hernandez could not slither past. The ball found by Mekadesh. Bryant, Vargas, he finds it back. Extra pass out to Duke. Just a little heavy on the touch. So possession recycled back with Kansas City. Hernandez once again lofts it, looking for Rosa, and he was offside. And the problem area right now for Minnesota is in the middle of the field when Ethan Bryant picks it up. If he has a chance to turn his head, he's found numerous players on multiple occasions here over the last 8 minutes or so. Rodas, Fisher, or Minnesota. It's been tough sledding for the Loons here in this first half. One big shot from Zidane Bello, really the only noise Minnesota has made. Fisher trying to change that. The ball just out of reach of Devin Paddleford, who was making the run on the wide side of the field. Paddleford lets it roll to Immings. Ball won by Cohen. Gabo did not touch that with his arm. Minnesota stays in possession. Half an hour gone here in this Western Conference match. Sporting Kansas City welcoming in Minnesota United FC. In a match in which Minnesota sits above the playoff line right now. The only team that's below them is San Jose. Minnesota 6th, San Jose 7th. They currently hold the last 2 playoff spots in the West. And assistant coach Jeremy Hall shared with me that despite where the team is right now, they're happy to still be playing and playing meaningful matches at this point of the season. There's nothing like having meaningful matches at this time. Bryant taps it to Hernandez over the top. The ball goes, and Nati Clark grabs it near the end line, but Pacheco sends it. Now Mekadesh towards the middle, and Rindov. Excellent ball to Hernandez, who's inside the box with pace. The ball comes near the 6. It's sent away. Minnesota trying to counter. This ball's out wide to Pacheco. Tries an early ball, but elevates it too high and out.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Due to the high temperature of today's match and for the safety of the players, the referee has indicated that a cooling break will now commence. The break will last up to 3
So here in the 32nd minute, we have a hydration break here in the half. And thinking about the half up to this point, SKC has had a few more chances than Minnesota. But both sides are playing things pretty close to the vest right now. The two chances inside the 18-yard box for Sporting Kansas City are the ones that stick out right now, whether it was Josh Cohen or Cam Duke. But for Minnesota, they really haven't had anything inside the box. Their lone attempt from distance that forced a save from John Pulskamp was from Zaydan Bello. So that is what Minnesota will be looking to do here as this half continues, as well as getting into the second half. How can they find themselves in the box, and does that mean that they institute the press in a higher variety to pick the ball up more quickly, to pick the ball up higher up on the field, because that then allows for players like Pacheco or Eway to get into the action. Cameron Lacey as well. But for Kansas City, they've done well to keep numbers behind the ball, and they've limited transition opportunities. And that was, again, the conversation that Coach Fehlhaber had with his team this week was, we have to win the transition battle, both offensively and defensively. We cannot be stretched in a way that allows for Minnesota to beat us into different pockets of space and to get in behind. So defensively, we have to get behind the ball as quickly as possible. And then offensively, when we have a chance to attack in transition, we have to take advantage of those opportunities. So, welcome you back. Play resumes now in the 35th minute. 10 minutes plus added time remaining until half here in the final match at Raw Chalk Park. This season for SKC, they will have 2 more home matches at a different venue. But last season, as a whole, SKC struggled at home. And Coach Fehlhaber was very satisfied with how the team has done at home this season, especially in their last 6 matches. And said that he felt that the team has really taken advantage of this venue and understands just how difficult it can be for teams to come in. Duke taps it a little too far, and Nick Richardson picks it up for Minnesota, but Cam Duke retakes possession. And Mekadesh two-handsy with Cameron Lacey. That's going to be a free kick. The front three have been quiet this evening for Minnesota. There's still plenty of time for Pacheco as well as Lacey and Eway to make their presence felt. Fisher, Richardson. Pacheco, back heel. Second ball, won by Minnesota. Direct ball over the top is out of the reach of Emmanuel Eway. And once again, Kansas City will have a throw in deep in their own defensive half. Cohen, Mekadesh, Kansas City. Out to Ethan Bryant. lost in the middle of the field. This is Hernandez. Vargas had too many men around him for him to make a move. The ball won back by Clark. Switches the point of attack to Rosa. And strength showed by Emmanuel Iwe to take over in possession for Minnesota. Iwe cuts it back to Khan. All lost on the attack. Transition opportunity for Kansas City. But they slow the pace. Hernandez, Rosa. All stays in. Kansas City continues in possession. Clark attempts to play Bryant forward. This portion of the match is brought to you by Price Chopper, official grocery partner of Sporting KC. 39th minute of the first half. No score between Kansas City and Minnesota. Here on match day 23 and MLS Next Pro. Kansas City, 2 good chances here in the first half. Minnesota with 1 from distance. And Minnesota has 7 goals from outside the 18 this season, one of the top marks in the league. So never shy to take shots from distance. That's been their only real opportunity to test John Pulskamp, who's been pretty quiet in between the pipes for Kansas City. Hasn't had much work to do. Fred Emmings hasn't been much busier himself. There's plenty to look forward to for the rest of this half and into the second half. 3 points for either side would be huge here at this point of the season. Rosa. Now Iwe boots it all the way back to the goalkeeper for Kansas City, John Pulskamp. Clark. Mekadesh and Rindov. Now, numbers coming forward. This is Hernandez. Taps it towards Rosa. Back across the middle. And Ethan Bryant booted it out. It took a ricochet. And it'll be out for a corner kick. Here it is again. Rosa right outside the box. Played the ball with pace. And Bryant tapping it forward. It looked like that was Nick Richardson, who was on the turf but made a last-ditch effort to stop the ball. Kansas City with the corner. Ball comes in, headed high and out. Clark heads it towards Rosa. And as the ball simmers in the air, Richardson just heads it out. So a throw in for Kansas City deep in their own offensive half. Cross comes in. And now all the way over to Rosa. Lucas Rosa. Oh, this is Bryant turning. Now still free. Hernandez, his shot blocked. Rosa has a second chance. And here late in the half, waves of offense coming for Kansas City. looking for the breakthrough in the 43rd minute. Duke. The shot out of play, and it's going to be a goal kick. So Minnesota once again withstanding an extended attack from Kansas City. And at this point in time, that bodes well for Minnesota, because this is the style they have played in. They've suffered together a lot this season defensively, and their assistant coach, Coach Hall, shared with me that they just understand what it takes in these types of matchups. This is what was necessary in their 1-0 win against LAFC. And on paper, LAFC is a side that is good despite their record. And so that was seen when they put up 6 goals against Galaxy 2 in their last match. So Coach Hall had high praise for LAFC, but also high praise for his team in the way that they won that match. Another match against North Texas where they had to suffer, but still found a way to earn points. And so this is something that Minnesota is not afraid of doing, especially last week, playing 3 matches, picking up 8 points out of a total potential 9. They will not be fazed with the scoreline right now. Bryant with a beautiful ball to Duke. Slows his pace, loses his footing. Ball back out to Clark. And what a job defensively by Britton Fisher to slow the pace of the smaller Clark Duke without fouling in the box. Now this is Eway coming the other way. Switches sides for Pacheco. Diogo Pacheco to Khan. This is Diogo Pacheco. And it's high and out. That's the transition opportunity that Minnesota was looking for here. Close to the end of the half, Emmanuel Eway, Cameron Lacey, and Diogo Pacheco all in the mix. Now Lanus Vargas isolated, 1v1, back out to Hernandez. Fourth official announcing a minimum of 4 minutes of added time here in the half. Clark receives it back. Mekadesh, Rendov, Rosa, isolated on this wide side. Looks to find Vargas in the middle. Now off this turnover, Hernandez to Cohen. It's tapped out. Fourth row. Rosa can't keep it in. And now Minnesota.
Hey, can we keep it here? Let it, don't go back around.
This ball drops for Ethan Bryant in Kansas City. But he taps it to Richardson, who takes it away and starts the counter. Pacheco. Diogo Pacheco taps it in. And what a headed effort by Nassim Mekadesh to clear it away for the corner. Pacheco sends in the corner, nodded towards the back post, but ends up rolling out for a Minnesota throw-in. Khan, Paddleford, tap forward to Eway, sends it across, nobody home. Pacheco was coming in towards the goalkeeper. No one was on that back post to make the run. Down the line, the ball rolls. Kept in by Fisher. Richardson, Case Pacheco. Maybe one last gasp for Minnesota here as we near the end of the first half. Bello. Cross to Rodas. There will be no more action here as the first half comes to a close. 0-0 at the half between Sporting Kansas City and Minnesota in this important Western Conference duel. Well, a few weeks ago, Michelle Montaigne caught up with Colorado Rapids 2 goalkeeper Aaron Beaudry during the MLS Next Pro Invitational. Here is what he had to say.
Oh my goodness! A second consecutive save for Beaudry.
Today we are sitting down with Rapids 2 goalkeeper Adam Beaudry. Adam, I just want to start with what a typical day in the life looks like of a 17-year-old goalkeeper for Rapids 2.
We train in the morning. We'll probably get there a little early, do some prehab activation. We normally have probably a lift afterwards. Then I normally drive home after I eat. I'm a big guy on practicing mental activities. Like I've been to a sports psychologist and I really like to visualize either what I'm trying to work on. I have a notebook to write the notes down, meditate, and kind of just shut off from there. And then I normally do some school and then go into bed nice and early so I can get some sleep.
How have you seen those mental exercises impact your play on the field?
When I was younger, I was actually getting injured because I was overplaying, and what I learned was you can train, but you can do it mentally, and with the visualization, it's kind of like a training. It was a good tool that I've learned. You don't have to train 4 or 5 hours a day. You can also use your head, and that's also a big thing in goalkeeping, and it's a mental aspect of it, and that I really like doing.
Have you felt any sort of change in pressure in terms of expectations now that you have started getting this recognition?
I wouldn't say a change of pressure, but it's almost a different role. With the position, you have to be a leader. You have to be able to command the back line, and I think those are things with this experience I've been able to kind of learn and try to take on, and I don't think it's a pressure, but it's more of a different role for me.
Speaking of a different role, a completely separate role is that of which you do with the youth national team. How did you first get involved into that pipeline?
I think it was a GA Cup game a year ago was when I first kind of like getting interested, I would say. And then I went to a camp after that. It was just a training camp and felt it was a really good experience for me. And then I was luckily able to go to the Czech Republic after that because I was able to get my first game in with them.
How did it feel? What did you take away from getting to represent your country on a stage like that at this age?
Yeah, it is, like I said, take advantage of each opportunity was one of my goals. I think for me it was just being able to learn from everything, the good, the bad thing, and being able to take away all I can to progress as a player.
Here's another opportunity for LA, moving it on Beaudry, who made the save. LA towards the back post, headed, and Beaudry stopped it. And Beaudry, as aggressive as can be, makes an incredible stop.
Okay, now I know you said your dad was a keeper, but is there someone who is either a role model for you or someone you molded your game after?
For me, I like to take little pieces from every goalie I like to watch. Like, you get to go turn on the TV to the Premier League, and you get to see a lot of different goalkeeping styles in that league, and I like to take away little aspects from each goalkeeper and try to just put it into my game, and that's just a joy for me to be able to go and watch different goalies and take away those little things.
As you get assimilated to this professional environment, what has it been like for you to be around these pros every day?
Well, obviously you get to see how they interact with each other, get to see them up close, how they train, how they prepare, how they recover, all these little things I think have been really good for me to kind of see up close and be able to take away. And like I said, just take everything in. I think that's a big thing for me, and trying to grab onto the things I like and maybe make them my own routine. And it's been really good to see up close how they act and how they train.
Okay, Adam, last question for you. 17 today. In blank number of years, Adam Beaudry will be, and you fill in the blank.
Hopefully, I would say I want to obviously work through the ranks with the Rapids. I think for me is just reach the highest level I can, and I think becoming the best goalkeeper I can too. And either if that's being able to play in MLS, hopefully going to Europe, I think is a big goal for me. And I think you got to focus on the day-to-day first. And I think right now my main goal is kind of working through the ranks with Rapids and becoming a successful goalkeeper here.
Yeah, we're excited to see where that takes you guys this year.
Yep.
Thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Thank you.
Well, we saw our first teams clinch playoff berths last week. Michelle and Samara look back in the Match Day Rewind.
Well, double the match day, double the fun. Match day 21 and 22 saw everything from the first playoff spots clinched to more historic hat trick performances. Alongside Samara Perez, I'm Michelle Montaigne, recapping all of the match day madness. Now we start out west, where Colorado Rapids 2 look to bounce back after a midweek loss. And they did just that. Dylan Cerna notched his first ever MLS Next Pro goal as Yosuke Hanya scored his 11th goal of the season, and Colorado defeated Tacoma 3-1. Rapids 2 able to punch their ticket to the playoffs as they sit now at the top of the league standings with 51 points.
Colorado wasn't the only team that clinched over the weekend. Moving over to the Eastern Conference, expansion side Crown Legacy FC took on Huntsville City FC, winning a 1-0 thriller thanks to a stoppage time goal by Yuri Tavares that punched their playoff ticket and kept them unbeaten at home this season. Head coach Jose Tavares' reaction after the game says it all.
We got it!
But Crown Legacy aren't the only ones in the East to keep a streak alive. New England Revolution to extend their unbeaten streak to 8, thanks in part to a brace from Jordan Adebayo-Smith Sunday against Atlanta. Now, he might not be able to hear you if you tell him, but they've currently got the longest active streak in the league. They're up to second in the East behind only Crown Legacy, and a big reason why is their conference-leading 50 goals.
Goals are in focus this week as Matt Andy Myers now leads the Golden Boot race with 15 goals. He notched a first-half hat-trick on Thursday against Inter Miami 2 and added a brace on Sunday against Orlando City B. He summed it up on Instagram. Good viberies. Good for Myers. Not sure if his 2 Florida opponents this week felt the same. With only 6 regular season match days left and only 6 playoff berths remaining in each conference, you won't want to miss any of the action. Michelle and I will get you caught up again following match day 23, so we'll see you then.
Well, we're back here at the half between Sporting Kansas City and Minnesota United. No score for either side here as we're taking on teams in match day 23. Last week contained 2 match days within 6 days, and that means a lot of ground to cover as Samara has a backed up version of the spotlight.
We've got double the spotlight honorees this week following a jam-packed slate of 24 games. I'm Samara Perez bringing you the outstanding performances of match days 21 and 22. Starting with our rising star of match day 21, Miles Morgan. Morgan becomes the first Toronto FC2 Academy player to receive the honor. The 18-year-old midfielder shook things up for the Young Reds after coming on and scoring a stoppage-time game winner in his team's comeback. Matchday 22's recipient, coincidentally also named Miles, came up big with a brace to keep Inter Miami 2's playoff hopes alive. Our next honoree not only earned Player of Matchday 21 honors, but he also put his name in our record books. Tacoma Defiance's Braudilio Rodriguez put 3 in the back of the net in the span of 26 minutes, registering the fastest hat trick in league history and headlining a 3-1 win over SKC2. And speaking of the Kansas City side, one of their own is also in the spotlight. Alenis Vargas also completed a hat trick to lead his side to a 6-1 win over Timbers 2. Moving on to the best goal of the match day, we've got Chicago Fire 2 with back-to-back honors. Midfielder Alex Moniz takes the first accolade thanks to his thunder strike from just outside the semicircle. Moniz's teammate Luca Purpa also gets the title after skillfully maneuvering past a defender and notching a beautiful curling strike into the back post. Rounding out our pair of honorees are our teams of the match day. Dynamo 2, who's looking more and more like the dominant team we remember from last year, takes the first honor. The Houston squad was able to take down conference leader Rapids 2 3-1. Their matchday 21 win extended their unbeaten run to 5. Last but not least, we've got our black and gold youngsters taking best team of matchday 22. The Californian squad earned a resounding 6-0 win over city rival Galaxy 2. The El Trafichico series is now even until they meet again in September. Congratulations to all of the guys in our twofold spotlight. We can't wait to meet the matchday 23 honorees.
Well, as we roll right along here at halftime, last night we had our second team clinch a playoff berth. Here are Friday's highlights.
And the change in goal, Gianluca Catalano. At 23 years old, he makes his first TFC2 appearance to start. Nobel Okello returns to his former club. He gets the start coming off a goal. Toronto's attack open up once again like they've done in the past against this Rev squad. And Tanaglu, his cross, it's headed off the post. He's got 8 goals. He's a Boston native against the New England Revolution. Maybe felt like he should have had a goal in the run of play. And he has his shot saved. Batiste showing his hips that he's going to the side. At the last second, he readjusts. He goes down the middle. Adebayo Smith, the leading goal scorer, puts it in. And that'll be it. The New England Revolution with 2 points picked up.
Coach Murray said they wanted to adjust the way his team defends wide spaces against St. Louis. Back into their 18. That's a dangerous pass. St. Louis wins it. There's the shot. And St. Louis City punishes a defensive mistake. Which has been a huge part of this team this season, earning his 18th start in this matchup as well. 5'6" midfielder. Sends the cross in. Bounces all the way across. Under pressure is St. Louis. Now here's a bad ball. Penn has it. Slots it across. There's the shot. Sent away. Second ball. Bouncing. And it bounces in. Schneider sends in the cross. It's well delivered. Henderson back in the mix. Second ball, the shot, and it's in! Ball back out to McGuire. McGuire attacking. It's a great slotted ball forward to Kuzain. Kuzain sends it across, the shot, and it goes in!
Well, those were highlights from yesterday. Here are the highlights from today in this match. Diogo Pacheco sends it high and over, and both sides in the first half had a couple of opportunities. Here's one that Cameron Lacey almost snuck past the defense, but Nassim Mekadesh was right there. This was an excellent ball out wide. Clark tapping it into Cohen, and his shot was saved. Cohen would have another opportunity a little bit later in the half. It was right here. This ball slipped right to him, but his shot was a little wide. And in the end, Minnesota had a big-time blast. That one coming from Zidane Bello. And so, despite no score for either team, no shortage of opportunities. And we shall see who will take advantage of their opportunities in the second half. Here are your first half stats. Minnesota with a bit more possession than SKC, but as you can see, Kansas City more shots, both sides with one on target. And so as we move into the second half, whichever side can really be clinical in the final third, that team is going to be victorious. You saw two really good opportunities for Kansas City on those balls slipped into Josh Cohen. So will it be Cohen? Will it be Vargas, who was a bit quiet in the first half for Kansas City? That is going to be the question. And on the flip side for Minnesota, as a team that looks to counter, they'll just be waiting for their opportunity, waiting for maybe Kansas City to put more numbers into the final third or to attribute more numbers into the attack, and they'll look to counter quickly. And you saw at the end of the half how Minnesota was able to find Pacheco on the outside or find Bello or Lacey in the middle. So still a lot to unravel here in the final home match of the season at Raw Chalk Park, home of the Jayhawks. Second half begins with Kansas City going from right to left, and quickly Alanis Vargas ends up on the pitch. He was fouled.
Halftime substitution for Minnesota United FC, leaving the game number 40, Cedric Gabeau. He's replaced by number 43, Rory O'Driscoll.
So Cedric Gabeau, who was on a yellow card, was substituted out for Rory O'Driscoll. Britton Fisher, one of the center backs, is still in the match on a yellow card for Minnesota. And no players for Kansas City picked up a yellow in the first half, and Sporting Kansas City did not make a halftime substitution. One player of note who is not in the lineup, Pau Vidal for Kansas City, suffered an injury, and so Alanis Vargas starting at the striker position. His coach talked very highly of him moving into that role in the last match. Mekadesh with another excellent tackle as Nick Richardson took the worst of it, and he is down behind. Just needing some extra time to get up. And he looks like he's holding on to his left shoulder. But a great show of sportsmanship there. And Kansas City should be given the ball back after the show of sportsmanship by Mekadesh to send it out. Finishing the point on Vargas, Coach Phil Haber was pleased with how Vargas played in that number 9 role in the last match versus Portland, not just because he scored 3 goals, but because of his attentiveness for the game plan throughout the week. Took in a lot of information in that role because of where he usually plays on the wing. And now Duke runs through this ball, trying to tap it forward to Vargas. But Minnesota ends up with it. Ball out for a Kansas City throw. Kansas City comes in 4th in the Western Conference. Only teams above them, Colorado, Tacoma, and Austin. This ball finds Josh Cohen. Taps it forward to Bryant. And could not control it. Up on the pitch was Malik Jesse Khan. Felipe Hernandez, after committing the foul, found himself on the grass, but nothing comes of it, just the restart for Minnesota. Minnesota comes in 6th in the West. Top 7 teams make the playoffs. And these two teams will meet again later on in this season. So the first leg of 2. These two teams met twice last year, split those 2 meetings. And Pacheco was offside. Restating the keys from the first half. For Kansas City, want to be better in transition than Minnesota. And that's both offensively and defensively. Can they ensure that they're not stretched when they put numbers into the box or have numbers in the attack? Then on the flip side, can they attack, especially in times like this? Now turning is Khan. This ball is out to Emmanuel Eway. Striding forward, has a go. Right there, you see how dangerous Minnesota can be in transition. Now after this ball is lost, Pacheco taps it to Lacey. Attempts a back heel, but was unsuccessful. Bryant, beautiful ball forward, but Emmings well off his line, assessing the danger early. And a different tenor to this second half in comparison to the first, but you would expect that. Both sides knowing the importance of the match, not wanting to be undone so early. But here in the second half, laying it all out. Just 5 minutes in. O'Driscoll, his first touch since coming on as a sub. Finds Khan. Advantage played. This is Duke. Cam Duke changes the point of attack. Lucas Rosa picks it up on the touchline. Clark. Mekadesh. Back to Duke. Flores flips it out for Rosa. Locates Hernandez. He steers in reverse. Kansas City had an excellent month of July. 4 wins in 5 matches. Struggled to start this month. before getting a win in their last match. And a handball is a decision, much to the chagrin of the Kansas City faithful. The Kansas City dropping their first 2 matches of the month to Houston and Tacoma respectively before exercising some of their demons in their last match, winning 6-1 over Portland. This is Kahn for Minnesota. Turns it over. Cam Duke holds play. And the foul eventually given, and a free kick upcoming for Kansas City. Quickly taken. Clark with Duke to his left. A chance to play in across. Potentially it comes off the turf. Bryant has his shot blocked away. Ethan Bryant taps towards Cam Duke. Retreats back for Danny Flores, who has a go from distance. It's tapped away. Mentioned Kansas City's recent schedule for Minnesota. They're unbeaten in their last 3 matches, 2 wins versus North Texas and LAFC. And in their last match, a 2-2 draw with St. Louis. And they picked up that extra point and kicks from the mark in that match. So on a nice little run of their own. Both of these sides peaking at the right time this season. Ten minutes into the second half. Off the turnover, ball finds Emmanuel Eway. A numbers advantage for Minnesota. Eway takes it on his own. Diogo Pacheco prepares to come out for Minnesota. So Pacheco, who has 8 goals and had the game-winning goal the last time these 2 teams met, will not have a chance to add to his lore. And Juan Mosquera comes on for Minnesota. This portion of the match is brought to you by Central Bank, official jersey front partner of Sporting KC2 and community banking partner of Sporting Kansas City. Khan. Mekadesh rises and just gets a noggin to it. And now a man down on the pitch for SKC. And requiring some medical attention. Looks like Danny Flores in a bit of pain right now as he slapped at the ground. So Flores walking a bit gingerly, and he took a knock in the first half as well. Got up and was able to continue. We'll see if the same is to be said here in the second half.
Substitution for Sporting Kansas City in the 58th minute, leaving the game, number 28, Cam Duke. These replays by number 25, Ozzy Cisneros. Substitution for Sporting Kansas City in the 58th minute, leaving the game, number 31, Danny Flores. These replays by number 52, Cello Tashenra.
So Flores will not be able to continue. He will come off along with Cam Duke. And Cello Tashenra will come on along with Ozzy Cisneros. Vargas trying to get free once again, but the ball a little too far out in front of him. And as much as we've discussed the Minnesota offense on the day, the defense has been pretty good. A few opportunities in the first half, but Minnesota has had a bend but not break style, and that's how they played almost all their matches this season. Now this ball's tipped over. Khan ends up with it outside the 18, but loses the battle with Cisneros. And the throw-in will come for Kansas City. Talking about the defense for Minnesota, assistant coach Jeremy Hall talked about how there was a point in this season where Minnesota was giving up a lot of goals. And they have since stopped that trend. And that stretch was in May and June. In 8 matches, they gave up 21 goals, but since they reconfigured themselves defensively, they've only given up 6 goals in 8 matches. Now looking for their first goal of this match. Eway was blocked away. A corner upcoming for Minnesota. The 62nd minute, ball comes in tight, headed away. And now, this is Cohen, slows his pace, trying to switch play. And the ball booted the other way. Ends up being a pass for Eway. Dropped back to Khan. Looking for options. O'Driscoll. And Bellows' pass taken away. Offside is the decision here. So Mosquera has now moved into position where Emmanuel Iwe was throughout the first half, moving to the left side of the pitch on the attack, and it looks like Iwe has now come to the right side. Cameron Lacey still will play in the middle for Minnesota, and it's still a front three that can be dangerous. Although Pacheco comes out, Mosquera, who comes in, has 2 goals and 2 assists himself, as O'Driscoll ends up on the pitch, and that's going to be a free kick for Minnesota. And a yellow card on the back end for Nassim Mekadesh.
Kansas City, number 45, Nassim Mekadesh, in the 63rd minute.
So the first yellow of the day for Kansas City. The lone man still with the yellow is Britton Fisher for Minnesota, who's on the pitch. Cedric Gabot was substituted. He picked up a yellow card in the first half. He no longer on the pitch for Minnesota. And it's O'Driscoll and Mosquera who stand behind this free kick here in the 64th minute. No score for either side. Minnesota trying to impact the scoreline. O'Driscoll sends it in. It ends up in the box. Now Hernandez pumps it high into the air. Clark over the top. Vargas heads it forward. Elenis Vargas! Just wide. This is just not easy for Vargas, but somehow controls it just enough to give himself an opportunity. And again, transition. Kansas City almost had their first goal in transition phase, but they have really hunkered down in regards to Minnesota's opportunities in transition this match. This portion of the match is brought to you by Children's Mercy Hospital of Kansas City, official healthcare provider of Sporting KC. 66th minute between Sporting Kansas City and Minnesota United. Malik Jesse Khan tries to tap it forward. It's handled by Kansas City. Clark towards the middle. And this is to Shantrit. Rosa, direct ball. Hernandez wins the race to the ball and might have earned his side a corner kick. But what does it take to stop a high-flying offense like Sporting Kansas City? Well, for Minnesota, Coach Hall and company wanted to force them out wide. And knew that his side had to play together, had to be compact, keep tight lines. And they have done just that throughout the first 66 minutes of this match. Now Kansas City has an opportunity on a set piece. High flying ball headed right at Fred Emmings. As this match wears on, a set piece might be a place for a team to make a difference. As in the run of play, it's been tough sledding. Something Kansas City has done all season has been creating opportunities. They're one of the top teams in the league in regards to chance creation. And Coach Fehlhaber said that here lately, those chances that they have created have just been turning into goals more often than not. Clark in possession for Kansas City. Right idea, looking to spray it forward towards Bryant. Minnesota quick to the danger once again. Mekadesh. Rindov. And Hernandez almost found himself on the end of a beautiful ball over the top. Bello all the way across. And now Mosquera will let this ball come in front of him. Excellent speed. And Cameron Lacey was ready to let it rip. But Nasim Mekadesh again. Right place, right time, like he's been this entire match.
Substitution for Sporting Kansas City in this 70th minute. Leaving the game, number 82, Chris Rindov. He's replaced by number 84, Jahan Rod.
Jahan Rod enters the pitch now as Chris Rindov comes off. And Sporting Kansas City continuing to look for that opening goal. To put into context what Minnesota has done up to this point in this match, 19 goals have been scored at home over the past 4 matches for Kansas City. They're outscoring opponents 19-3, and Minnesota has not allowed a goal here through the first 70-plus minutes of action. Minnesota themselves have been in 1-goal games over their last 4. This is the style they like to play. Rough and tough. Clark chests it down, comes central, finds Ethan Bryant, back around, and as this ball comes over the top, just a little too elevated for Elenis Vargas.
Substitution for Minnesota in the 72nd minute, leaving the game, number 45, Cameron Lacey. He's replaced by number 67, Louis Masanbi.
So Loetman Sanvi comes on. So now Cameron Lacey and Diogo Pacheco have come off the top goal scorers for Minnesota. There's still pace on the front line with Juan Mosquera and Emmanuel Iwe. But after playing 3 games last week, Minnesota now finds himself going to the bench here in this match against Kansas City, a team they will see later on in the month of September. And as this season wears on here in the late stretches, how much more important will that match be, depending on where each team sits in the table? This is Cohen. Taps it out wide. It'll be a throw-in for Kansas City. Mekadesh. There's the ball across midfield to Shantrit. Clark, a wonderful touch inside. But Fred Emmings saw it all the way. Khan, the man that made contact with Nazi Clark. That's going to be a foul. Up next for Minnesota, they start that tough matchup with Tacoma. Then they'll take on San Jose, another playoff team. Then Austin, and then this Kansas City side again at the National Sports Center. So a very difficult stretch on the horizon for Minnesota at the conclusion of this match. Deep throw in now for the home side. Ball comes into the box. It's tapped out, and that will be a corner kick for Kansas City. Here in the 76th minute. A no-score match. Ball comes all the way across the box. Will roll out. Did not take a touch, and that's a goal kick. This portion of the match is brought to you by Price Chopper, official grocery partner of Sporting KC.
For the safety of the players, the referee has indicated that a cooling break will now commence.
So here in the 77th minute, we'll have a hydration break for both sides. Here in the second half, very similar to the first half, especially for Kansas City. They've had a couple of good opportunities that they just have not been able to finish. And the hope is that it does not come back to bite them late in this match. For Minnesota, they've done what they've done all season. And that is stayed alive long enough to give themselves an opportunity in the late stage of a match. Of course, for the past 2 months, it's been that type of action for Minnesota as a team. They've picked up points in 8 of their last 11 matches on the road, including 4 of their last 5 away from the National Sports Center in Blaine, Minnesota. So not only have they played matches well over the last course of the season, but they've also done well on the road. So this is not a surprise for Minnesota to be able to come into a place that has been so despicable for opponents and to play at a high level. The style and the pace of play has been in the favor of Minnesota. That's why they've had more possession throughout this match. Why they've been able to weather the storm up to this point. We still have 12 minutes plus added time to find a victor. If this match was to end in a draw, then we would go to kicks from the mark. Both teams would receive a point, and then the team that won kicks from the mark would receive an extra point on the contest. Neither side really want that right now. Both would love 3 points. Ethan Bryant slips by one defender. Now this is Elenis Vargas. Vargas puts it in the back of the net. After a hat trick last match, Vargas puts one in here late. And SKC on top, 1-0. Transition moments. Ethan Bryant makes one move to play Elenis Vargas forward. Vargas, who is exceptional in 1v1 action, finds his favorite foot and finishes with fury. And Kansas City takes the lead here at home. Player of match day 22, living up to the billing here in the late stages of this match with a goal right before the 80th minute. And now Minnesota, who has been defending at a high level all match, now needs a goal if they want to find any points here on the road for their 9th out of 12 matches. Huge collision again. Now this is Bryant with numbers coming into the attack. Vargas turns on the afterburners to get on the end of this ball. Taps it right back to the middle. The dummy played, and Bryant had to go, but it was blocked away. Almost 2 goals in a matter of moments. And Ethan Bryant behind the play looks to still be down. So Fred Emmings doing his best physical trainer impersonation as he stretches out the opponent. We'll see if Ethan Bryant will need medical attention or if he'll be able to get up on his own. Bryant, who was credited with the assist, also has played at a high level over the course of these last couple of matches. He is up and ready to continue. First wave beaten by Minnesota. Now this ball comes over the top looking for Khan, but it's out to Eway. And now the ball rolls out for a corner. Minnesota trying to strike back. They went down early in the match versus St. Louis. Then the seesaw found itself in their favor, going up 2-1 before allowing another goal Eway sends it in, tapped away. Still with Minnesota. Nazi Clark does well defensively. Only for a moment. Another corner loading for Minnesota.
Substitution for Sporting Kansas City in the 83rd minute. Leaving the game, number 39, Ethan Bryant. He's replaced by number 40, Enzo Maurice.
So Enzo Maurice comes on to replace Ethan Bryant. We're in the 84th minute. Kansas City leads 1-0. This ball dropping at the 6-yard box, somehow cleared away. Minnesota down the goal, has to go here. Mosqueda brings it down, goes into 5th gear, and this ball drops. Eway on it, taps it out, and just missing the mark was Zidane Bello. As Eway didn't have an angle, laid it off for Bello. He has a goal and assist on the year. Could have been his second, but goes down as a miss. Kansas City has to be careful here. Pulskamp puts it high into the air. Second ball is won by Mosqueda, trying to sneak through with multiple defenders around him. This is Maurice, his first touch since coming on. Now Rosa. This is Cohen. And O'Driscoll flips it out for a Kansas City throw. Lucas Rosa in no rush as he tracks down the ball. Quickly into Cohen. Back out to Rosa. Had eyes for Maurice. The ball out once again. Mekadesh, who's been an unsung hero of this match defensively, taps it out to Cisneros. Maurice cycles forward, and he's pushed down. It's going to be a free kick for Kansas City. Felipe Hernandez will not take the free kick. It'll be Josh Cohen. The captain stands behind it here in the 87th minute. Puts it into the box. Mekadesh taps it back up. Rosa controls. Pendulum swings out to Hernandez again with Cohen off to the left, receives it. Cohen into the box. Josh Cohen can't curl it. Towards the back post. Cohen knew exactly what he wanted to do. Cut back to create space, but could not locate that lower corner. With 3 minutes remaining here, plus added time, Minnesota down 1-0 to The goal scored by Alanis Vargas. Vargas now has 4 goals in his last 2 matches.
Substitution for Minnesota in the 88th minute, leaving the game, number 89, Nick Richardson. He's replaced by number 57, Elisa Randall.
So Darius Randall comes on for Minnesota. Randall comes on for Richardson. Trying to be a late spark for Minnesota. Mosqueda tracks it down for the Loons. Ball taken away by Hernandez. Racing forward still. And it's out for a corner. And that was Ozzy Cisneros who actually made the pilfer and provides his side with a corner kick. And precious time now ticking off if you're Minnesota. Off the quick corner, and the ball tapped out. Throw in comes for Kansas City. Just trying to work the ball in that corner. And now a throw in for Minnesota as we near added time. Fisher. And off the collision between Mansanvi and Nazi Clark, Kansas City wins the free kick, much to the chagrin of Cameron Knowles and the coaching staff for Minnesota. Mekadesh plays it right to Emmings. So the decision, a minimum of 5 minutes of added time. That's what stands between Kansas City and a 5th straight home win and 7 straight unbeaten. Minnesota looking for a 4th match straight unbeaten. Also, precious points as they try to cement a spot in the playoffs. In the first half for Kansas City, 2 really good opportunities that went awry. In the second half, more of the same, but all they've needed was one. And that was a transition moment. Ethan Bryant found Alanis Vargas, who showcased his speed and handling to score the lone goal of this match. Minnesota had defended well enough and now find themselves behind. Now a late foul and a free kick upcoming for the Loons. A chance to send numbers in the box for Minnesota. Ball comes into the box, nodded forward and just missed. There was a scrum of bodies near the goalkeeper, John Pulskamp. Would have been a difficult stop Ball was steered a little too high. Camp puts it into play. Second ball is won by Minnesota. Minsanvi can't slip forward. Ball kept in. This is Minsanvi. Bello slips into the box but loses possession. Now this is Jeremy Rodas. Looking for a pass. Kahn heads it back into play. And it just hits the crossbar. Kahn was running out of real estate and headed back towards goal. And you see the fight that Minnesota possesses. And the yellow card is shown to John Polskamp for time wasting here. Polskamp puts it into play once again. Iwe, Kahn over the top. Nati Clark heads it away. And now off this miss hit, Minsanvi towards the middle to Kahn. What a last-ditch defending effort. And now a chance for Kansas City to come forward if they'd like. This is Josh Cohen to Hernandez. And no need to attack now with the time in favor. Enzo Maurice ends up on the pitch. The foul on Minnesota. A yellow card shown in the end.
A yellow card caution has been issued to Minnesota United, number 43, Rory O'Driscoll.
Rory O'Driscoll picks up the yellow card with the time necessary to set up the free kick. Might be the last action. Kansas City would hope for that. We'll have a chance to take this free kick as we've reached our minimum of 5 of added time. Ball quickly taken. Vargas goes to the corner flag. Goal kick is the decision. So Fisher will come forward. Ball clipped high into the air. And Minnesota looking for the contact and looking for something out of it. But the decision is play on from Jose Laura. So as Polskamp puts the ball down, waving everyone forward, waiting for the final whistle. And there it is, victorious in 5 straight home matches. This one, a late winner from Alanis Vargas, but one is all Kansas City needed. The final, Sporting Kansas City 1, Minnesota United 0. And your Adidas man of the match for Sporting Kansas City, Alanis Vargas, came through when his team needed him most. Vargas, the Adidas man of the match because of this goal. late in the match. Ethan Bryant found him coming forward, and Vargas coolly cut back and finished for the lone goal of this match. He now has a hat trick in his last match and a goal, the game winner in this match. And Kansas City with the win and the important 3 points as they try to widen the gap between them and the teams trying to make the playoffs as well in the West. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Our final here from Lawrence, Kansas. Sporting Kansas City 1, Minnesota 0. Don't forget you can watch MLS Next Pro all season long at MLS Season Pass on Apple TV and MLSNextPro.com. Have a blessed evening.
This copyrighted broadcast of MLS Next Pro may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcasted without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.